afternoon. Thank you for joining us. We're excited to have everyone here today to talk about dealing with debt. But just to kick things off, my name is Josh Antis. I am in the Community Relations Department here at CalCoast, and hope everyone's doing well, staying healthy out there. Before I kick things over to our presenter, I want to mention a couple things. First is that we will have everyone placed on mute during the duration of today's presentation. However, if you do have any questions, we want to answer those for you. So please feel free to incorporate those into the chat box or the question and answer box. And we will make sure to address those either as we go or at the end of the presentation today. Also, just a little bit about CalCoast. We are a credit union that was started by educators over 90 years ago, and education is at our roots. So we have we're very passionate about providing the resources, the education, all the things needed for everyone to financially thrive. So some of those resources include our Enrich Financial Wellness Portal. We have a portal that has thousands of articles and videos and tools and games and courses you can take, all available on any number of financially related topics, budgeting, credit scores, dealing with debt, investing, retirement, anything you can think of, it's all there. So I'm going to go ahead and for those of you on Zoom, I'm going to go ahead and place the link into the chat box, and you can visit that anytime. It's completely free and a really cool tool that we offer. So I encourage you to check it out. We also do post all of our webinars on our YouTube channel. We have a CalCoast YouTube channel as well. So you can search CalCoast CU on YouTube, and there you can access, there's a lot of different videos. There's webinar recordings, but also others that again are all financially related, and they're for you to help you be financially well. So one last thing I do want to mention as well, at the end of today's presentation, you will see, for those of you again on Zoom, you will see a pop-up that asks you to take a survey. It's a very brief 7-question evaluation survey. So if you could take the time to fill that out, we greatly appreciate your feedback. You will also have an opportunity to fill that out once you receive the email, probably in the next day or so, just thanking you for joining us. There's going to be a link where you can fill that out as well. All right, so let's kick it off. Today we have Taralyn Rose. She's the manager of our financial fitness coaching department. She's going to be presenting for us today. Some of you might recognize her if you've joined us before. She's pretty much our main presenter. She's very good at presenting and a wealth of knowledge. Been with the credit union for many years. I won't mention how many. She doesn't like when I do that. So, but with that, I'll go ahead and turn it over to Taralyn.
I love that. Yeah, I'll go ahead and say it. I've been with the credit union for over 20 years. I love this job that I have. I started doing this 13 years ago. Just a little background on me who haven't met me. I've been with the credit union. I started off as a teller, worked my way up to assistant manager. Then in 2008, we started looking for ways that we could help our members deal with the stuff that we had going on. So we started offering the financial fitness, and I signed up for it. I was the first client as well. All the things that I learned, I put it in my own world, because when we talk about this dealing with debt, I had $46,000 in credit card debt that I had to deal with. Had no idea that I owed that much. It's like 1,000 here, 4,000 there, 500 here, and then you put it all together. Whoa! So this particular topic is very near and dear to me. I love all the tools that we teach our members to deal with this 4-letter word. I call it America's 4-letter word. Back in 1948, we had zero credit card debt. It didn't even exist. You had to save to get the things that you wanted or needed. So now we're in trillion-dollar debt in 2017. Trillion. From zero in 1948 here, 2021, we have over $1 trillion in credit card debt. So this is something that affects a lot of us. Everything's so expensive. Everything's bigger, better, more, faster, right? You have to have the cool car. You have to have the cool technology. So we're going to talk about ways to deal with the debt that you have, and also prepare to stay out of debt as you go along. We're going to give you, if I can get this to work. Come on. Okay. Looks like I'm going to be manually forwarding these slides. 4 things that you need to deal with debt that you may have. Having an awareness of what your debt is. That's the first step. You have to know what your starting point is. Then we have goals. What do you want to achieve with the money that you earn? Set up a plan so that you can achieve those goals, and then have a determination to stick to the plan that you've created to deal with your debt. So we're going to go over all these different steps. Oh, it's going to be one of those days. Now it's not even advancing manually. There we go. So first thing we're going to talk about is, what are the signs that you may have too much debt, this debt overload? We're being bogged down and we're not able to progress financially. So one thing is have zero in savings. Is one of the things that I tell our employees to look for. If someone has zero in their savings, or it's gone by the end of the month, like you put $100 in there and then, oh, I have to have it by the end of the month, that's a sign that we're not able to save for the things that we need. We're going to be relying on credit to pay for things. If I have credit cards that are maxed out or close to their limits, that means that we're relying on credit to pay for things. And there's going to come a time when you're not going to have those credit card limits. Your car breaks down. I don't have any money. How am I going to pay for it? If you are using credit cards to pay for regular expenses like gas and groceries, that's a really big sign that we have too much money going out the door, and we need to take a look at where that money is going. If I'm only able to make the minimum payments on my credit cards and I can't pay more and I'm just barely getting by with that minimum payment, that's a sign. If I'm late, if I am having to wait 2 or 3 days for my paycheck to make my payment on a credit card, or pay for my cell phone bill, or pay for SDG&E, that's a good sign that I have too much money going out the door. Another thing is this, we call this debt to income ratio. If the total of all of your payments is more than 40% of your gross income. So say I make $5,000 a month and I have $3,000 going out the door for all my minimum payments. That's a really good sign that I am spending more than I have coming in. I'm living beyond that. I have to rely on credit cards or my savings till that's gone. The other part is a 20% of net income, the actual money I get to take home. So if I add up my minimum payments and I add my rent or my mortgage payment in there, I total all those minimum payments up and I divide that by my gross monthly income. If that percentage is higher than 40%, that is a sign to us as lenders. So if you're even applying for a loan, if you have more than 40% of your gross income going out the door just to debts, that's a sign to us that you are close to getting into big trouble. That's when we start seeing anything over 40%. People start struggling. They get to 50%, get to 60%, get to 70%, get to 90%, and they file bankruptcy. So this is something that the guidelines that we look at when we're doing any loan applications or approving loans. If more of your money is going out, more than 40% is going out, that's a red flag, and you're probably not going to get approved because you're just going to dig yourself into a deeper hole. So those are some things that are kind of red flags. If you feel like any of these pertain to you, let's figure out how we can deal with it, right? So we can get rid of it. So step one is this awareness. So one, how much do you owe? We need to pull our head out of the sand and write it all down. What is it costing you? What are you using those credit cards for? And what are the reasons that we tend to spend and use those credit cards to begin with? We're going into some of the psychological part of it. So I have a really cool handout we're going to attach into all of this. You guys will all get a copy of it, but I want you to grab all of your creditor statements, and I want you to write all this information down: the creditor name, the balance, the interest rate, the payment. And I also want you to write down the limit too. I want to get all this information together because that's going to help me deal with that debt once I have a plan to deal with it. So I need to gather all this information so I know what I owe. This is that, oh my gosh, I owe $46,000. I had no idea. And it's really kind of a punch in the stomach sometimes, but we have to know what our starting point is before we can create a plan to get where we want to go, right? So first thing is just writing it all down. Grab those creditor statements. The next thing we're going to look at is, what is it costing you? This is one of those things. I had no idea how much I was really paying for those credit cards, for the privilege of buying something now, how much I had to pay for it. So you got all of those creditor statements together with that last workbook that we had. Now I want you to look at your last payment that you made, and I want you to write down that payment and how much of that payment went to the principal balance how much went to the interest. It's really, really sad once you write it all down and you total how much every month you are paying for those credit cards because we didn't save the money to buy it, how much it's actually costing us. I have this slide of how much are you paying, $1,000 balance with an 18% interest rate, minimum monthly payment of $20. Interest owed every month is about $15. So that means out of that $20 minimum payment, only $5 of that payment is going towards reducing that balance. So it's going to take you 7 years and 10 months if you pay just the minimum payment to pay off $1,000. And you're going to pay $862.18 for the privilege of buying something now. This is actually how all those people get you with the sales, right? Oh, it's $100 off. It's 20% off. You're going to save $200. And then you pay $20 a month and it's going to cost you $862. It's not really saving you. That's how they get you. Okay. And this is at 18%. A lot of the department store, if you have JCPenney or you have Walmart or you have Macy's or you have any of those department stores, Victoria's Secret, 26.99% is the average rate for most of those department stores. So even worse. So I want you to understand and write all this down, get this awareness of really how much money you're throwing away. Because $862 in interest on this $1,000 balance that I owed, I can think of a lot better things to spend $862 on. That's like 2 weekends in Vegas. I would have a really good time with $862 rather than paying for interest on something because I couldn't wait to get it. Okay. What are we using the credit cards for? So there's a lot of reasons why we are using our credit cards. We have emotions that drive us, the environment, our image, entitlement, habits. So the emotions part of it is how many of you have lost a job, gone through a breakup, and go and go out to dinner with your friends to commiserate? Or what's something everybody does when you hear we win the Super Bowl? What do we do when we win the Super Bowl? What does everybody do when we win the Super Bowl? What are we going to do? We're going to go to Disneyland, right? So we have these rewards. Maybe you missed your kid's soccer game and you feel really bad, so you take them out to get pizza. Maybe, all these different reasons why we're really excited. Let's go celebrate. We're really sad. Let's go commiserate. So all these emotions that drive that spending of maybe money that we don't have. So I have an emotional log. It's another workbook that we'll share with you guys that, maybe you got off the phone with your dad and it's really sad. So you have to go out and get some ice cream. Maybe it's a Friday night and we're just, really happy to be out of work and we're going to go out. So all these, what emotions are driving you? What were you doing right before you went on that spending spree? Where were you? Who were you talking to? And really pay attention to, before you go buy something, how were you feeling? Okay. Environment is, these are those advertising ads that we see everywhere, right? You see Matthew McConaughey in the cool car driving down, and we all want to be as cool as Matthew McConaughey, right? So we got to get that cool car. Or, we have to have this really big house to be considered, it's the image. We have to have a really big house to be considered successful. We have to drive that cool car to be successful. But the environment is those advertising. You're constantly seeing it, that you have to have the bigger, better, faster, more. You have to have the newest phone because that's going to make you cool. That's you're on top of things right now. So we're constantly badgered by ads everywhere we go, and be conscious of what they're trying to do, because they are trying to make you spend your money. Is that what you want to spend your money on? That image is the keeping up with the Joneses, right? So one of my favorite examples here is we had a next door neighbor who had a brand new car and a brand new boat, and they just remodeled their house, and they had $10,000 for bookcases. They just had custom bookcases, and they had a mural of their kids painted on the wall, and they filed bankruptcy 2 months later. So you never want to keep up with what someone else is doing, because they may not be living within their income. So live within the income that you have, right? Don't spend more than you have just to keep up with somebody else. This is really hard when you've got kids, especially if they're going to a really nice school and everybody's got the newest phone, and their parents bought them a BMW and they've got the cool new shoes. Don't live within someone else's income. Live within the income that you have. And if they want the shoes, they can go get a job and save up for it. The entitlement, this one is, I work really hard, so I deserve. That's great. You do work really hard. I know you guys work really hard. Do you deserve to spend more than you have earned? And that's what credit cards allow us to do, is live beyond the income that we have earned, right? One of my favorite examples, I had a member come in and she was so proud of herself that she had not spent any money at Starbucks that month, that she bought tickets to go to Hawaii. That's like, okay, that kind of defeats the purpose a little bit. You know, how did you pay for it? I used a credit card. Okay, so we're trying to stop using the credit cards. That's something that you deserve to live within the income that you have earned. So make sure that we're paying attention to that. Habits is really interesting. So has anybody ever on your day off been driving to go someplace and just kind of let your mind wander and realize that you're driving to work still because you do it all of the time and you don't even have to think about it? Anybody? Is that just me? These are the things that when you actually do something all of the time, your brain actually creates a neurological pathway in your brain. It says, hey, don't worry about it. I got this. I'll take care of it. You don't have to think about this. You can think about something else, right? So this habit becomes ingrained in your brain. And in order to overcome that, you have to create something that's more powerful than that habit. If I always go to Starbucks before I go to work and I want to overcome that habit, I have to create a different habit that's stronger than this neurological pathway that keeps pulling me, like, what are you doing? You always do this. Why are you changing things? Let it go. I got it. Right? So we have to do something to overcome those habits. I have to have something that's more powerful than that habit to make me change that habit. And that's really, really hard. It takes weeks and months to really overcome because that neurological pathway is pulling me back, right? So these are some of the things that we have to overcome in order to live within the income that we have. All of these things are constantly bombarding us. Now, in order to overcome all of those, I have to know what I want. I have to create something that's more powerful, all those things that are causing me to overspend, right? So I have to create goals. And I'm not just saying I want to be debt free. Of course, we want to be debt free. We want to stop paying 26.99% interest. I want to have money in my account. But I want to pay off $2,000 in debt in the next 6 months, right? We need to be really specific about what you want, and it has to matter to you, right? So we talk about specific, measurable, attainable, relevant to you, and have a time frame where you can measure that progress. So specific is I want to save $2,000 in 6 months. I want to pay my debt off in $6,000 in debt in a year. So something specific, I have it measurable. I can measure my progress. If I plug it in, if I do $1,000 a year, that's $84 a month. I get it bi-weekly, that's $42 a paycheck. I can do $1,000 in a year. I can totally do that. Can I do $1,000 in 6 months? That might be a little more difficult. That's $84 a paycheck. Maybe if I stop doing this, I can do this. How badly do I want to achieve this goal? How relevant is this goal to me? What is it going to do for me? It has to matter to me before I'm going to take the steps I need to make that goal a reality. And I want a time frame so I can measure that progress. I want to know I can check that off and say, yes, I've achieved it. I can celebrate, and then I can set more goals, right? So I have to know what I want. And then I'm going to go look at my expenses and see how I can make this happen, right? So net income is the money that we get to spend. We're going to get ready to set up this plan to deal with this debt once and for all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to set up my plan, my net income. This is how much money I've got to spend, not how much money I earn. Wouldn't it be nice if we could spend everything we earn? But no, we got to pay taxes, and we have to pay medical insurance and dental insurance. But I'm going to get this net income, and I'm going to start putting money aside for my savings, my emergency, my periodic, my monthly. We're going to talk about this. And my bottom line has to be positive, right? So if I plug in all these expenses and I have a negative number at the bottom, I am living beyond my income. I will never be able to be debt free because the only way I can cover negative income is to pull money out of savings until the savings is gone. And then I'm going to use my credit cards until those credit cards are maxed out. And then I'm going to be in trouble and going to have to make some big changes. Okay. So we want to set up this plan, and we're going to talk about these expenses. Anybody who's had pretty much any of these webinars with me or workshops with me knows how important I feel this is. For me, this is the piece that's missing in most budgets that I see, because they say, oh, you should save for auto repairs. They don't really help you in figuring out how much you really need, right? But I want you thinking about, we have to save to get rid of credit card debt. And that seems really, opposite of what we want to do. We want to pay everything towards the credit cards, right? But what happens if you take that $1,000 bonus and you apply it all towards your credit card debt, and next month your car's tire blows? How are you going to pay for it? Anybody? You can put it in the chat. If you put everything in your savings towards your credit card debt because you're tired of paying that, and your car blows up, how are you going to pay for it if you don't have any money in your savings account? I'm going to throw it in the chat. You're going to charge it. Yes. You're going to get right back into debt. So if you don't save for the things that you usually put on those credit cards, you are never going to be debt free. You are setting yourself up to fail if you do not set this money aside. So this for me is the most important part of getting out of debt. Not even paying extra towards the debt, it's you have to save for these things. So when we talk about house repair and items, like, oh, I rent a room, I don't need to worry about this. If you're watching this on a cell phone or a computer, is that going to last forever? No. If you are sleeping on a mattress, that mattress needs to be replaced at some point. You can't have one mattress for the rest of your life. It's really gross, right? So I'm going to buy sheets. I'm going to buy a blender because my blender broke down. I break the glasses. I have to buy new glasses. These are all things that are a part of our normal life. I'm going to have to buy a new cell phone. I'm going to have to buy a new computer. So I need to set money aside so that when that happens, I can afford it and not rely on discount tire credit card at 26.99%. Or I'm not going to go to Best Buy and buy my computer on the credit card. Auto repairs is a really big one. If you have a car, what is something that you have to replace every 2 to 3 to 4 years without fail? Absolutely everybody who has a car has to do this. What's a big thing that happens every 3 or 4 years? Tires. Thank you. We know if we have a car that we're going to replace those tires. And if I do $500, let's say I pay $700 for tires, and I don't set money aside for that, then $700, it comes due. I don't have the money. I go to Discount Tire, charge it at 0% for 6 months, never pay it off in 6 months, and then I'm paying 26.99% interest rate. So I need to set money aside. I have oil changes. I have brakes. I have batteries. I have windshield wipers. I had $400 for wheel bearings and a motor mount that apparently my car didn't work without. So I had to pay for that. If you have a car, I recommend that you do $42 every 2 weeks into an auto repair savings so that when those things come up, I'm not relying on credit cards. Same thing for vacation, gifts and holidays. These are all a part of our normal living expenses. They just don't happen all the time, so we don't tend to think about it. And then, oh, I really want to go to Italy next year for the wine festival. I don't have $1,000 for the plane ticket. I'll just charge it and pay for it later. Well, I want you to go on vacation. I want you to enjoy your life. You work really hard. Let's set money aside every single pay period so that I can go on vacation without relying on credit cards. Gifts and holidays is a really big one. This used to be, I went psycho at Christmas. I just liked to buy things for people, and especially my kids. I wanted to get everything for my kids that maybe I didn't have when I was growing up. So I'd spend probably $1,000 each on my daughters, and I didn't realize it because it was just something that, again, habit. I did it every Christmas. I went crazy. So now I kind of looked at it and kind of redirected the funds, and I do a little bit less than I used to. Auto repairs, how much do we want to set aside for car repairs? It depends on how old your car is. I have a newer car. I just bought it. It's well, not newer. I bought it in July, but it's a 2017. I have a really good warranty on it. So I do $1,000 a year. So $42 a paycheck. I get $1,000 a year that I'm constantly setting the money aside. And that's my DMV renewal, my brakes, my batteries, windshield wipers, all that fun stuff. I'm ready for it. So at $1,000 a year for auto repairs for me. If you have an older car, things are starting to break apart, or you have a special car that has a lot of really expensive parts. I had a friend who had a BMW and the rear view mirror was $800 to replace. I would never buy that car because that's ridiculous. But yeah, so it just depends on what kind of car you have. But I want us setting this money aside. I have separate accounts for these: home savings, auto savings, vacation savings, gift savings, and I have an annual fee savings because I have a AAA, I have Costco, I have Amazon Prime, I have my Word, I have a timeshare. I have a lot of fees that I have to pay once a year. So I set the money aside. And then we have the things that really end up on credit card debts a lot. The expected items, items that you're going to have to replace in your lifetime. We talked about that: the computer, the TV, your mattress. Then we have the unexpected events. So has anybody been in a car accident before? Anybody where you had to pay over $500 out of pocket for your deductible? Yeah, that was unexpected. You knock on wood. I have no real wood around me, but knock on wood that you never have to do that. But I want you prepared. I'm the poster child for the unexpected. In the past 13 years, I've had back surgery. I was out of work for a year. Bell's palsy, chronic fatigue, 3 blood infections, shoulder surgery, and just they kept piling. I've been recovering from something for the past 13 years. And I know that I have these. So I do a big medical expense because it's $100 for a copay if I have to get an MRI. For the blood infection, I was 3 days in the hospital. It's a $300 day copay. So $900 out of my pocket for my blood infection. Yeah, really expensive. So that's the emergency I want to replace if I go on furlough. This past year has been a really good example of why we tell you to have emergency savings, just in case you're furloughed, just in case you slip while you're hiking and you're out of work for 4 months because you have to replace your shoulder. So these are things that we don't want to happen, but can happen. If you've got kids, my brother knows I talk about this. He was stretching a belt and it broke and the buckle knocked out his front tooth. Hello, dental expense. He thought it would be fun to drive his bicycle down the front steps at school, and he fell and broke his collarbone. He jumped his car onto his bicycle onto a car that was driving by. Another medical expense. So yeah, things happen. I fell while I was hiking. I woke up and couldn't walk and had to get the back surgery. You don't want those things to happen. Maybe there's a fire and you have to, or there's an earthquake or there's a flood or something happens. We want to set money aside for those just in case. Because again, if we don't have that money, it's going to go on a credit card, especially medical expenses. Care Credit is there for you at 26.99%. So here's that example of how we include this into my plan. Household repair, I rent your room $500. If you're a homeowner, you are responsible for the dishwasher, for the garage door, for the water heater, for the refrigerator, all these different things. You're going to need a little bit more than $500 a year. Medical, dental for the co-pays, my DMV, auto repairs, vacation, clothing, gifts, hair, and fun would be, anybody gone to a concert in the past 5 years? I'm not going to say last year because nobody went anywhere last year, but anybody been to any concerts where the tickets were higher than $100? Yeah. I went, where did we go last year? Blake Shelton. And it was really, really awesome. Had a great time. My tickets were $100. So I want to make sure that I include that. Anybody go to the San Diego County Fair? I want to do that. I want to have fun, but I'm going to put that into my plan so I don't rely on credit cards to pay for those things. Okay. And you can see how much you need to set aside every single month. And I have all these separate accounts. And here's that plan. Woo! Really colorful and it's really small. You probably can't see it, but you are going to be 166. Oh, I love them. Tucello. They were so good. I saw them 3 years ago. So amazing. Yeah, so tickets are really expensive. Make sure we put that into our plan. I want you to have fun. I want you to enjoy your life. You do deserve to have some fun, but plan it so that we are not putting it on credit cards. So here's that kind of plan. Here's my income at the top. I'm setting money aside for my annual expenses based on my calculator, setting money aside for emergency for my what if. I am planning for my retirement, so here's the thing. My 401k last year was earning 13%. Right? So if I have credit card debt and I'm paying 26.99%, it doesn't make sense to put extra into a retirement plan that's only earning 13 if I'm paying 26% on the credit card debt. So unless my company's matching my contributions and then I'm getting 100% return, but you have to really, getting all this information together is going to help you make that decision once you know the interest rates. So that's one of the awareness steps that we took, is knowing what you're paying on all your credit cards. Here's my fixed expenses, my variable expenses, gas, groceries, got to do that, my debt payments, and then here's my bottom number. It has to be positive. Okay. So the strategy, paying off credit cards, I've gone through and I've got a positive cash flow. I've got an extra $100 that I got to decide how I want to attack my debt. If I have a positive cash flow, you want to pay the credit card with the highest interest rate first. It doesn't matter what the balance is, doesn't matter what the limit is, doesn't matter what my minimum payment is. It's the interest rate, because if I have a card at 20%, another card at 10%, if I pay an extra towards the high interest one, next month I'm not losing all that interest, and my money's going to work harder for me the next month. I'm not paying so much in interest. There's a really great website called powerpay.org where you plug in all your debts, the minimum payments, the interest rates, and it will show you. My $46,000 when I started, by paying just the minimum, told me it was going to be 10 years and 7 months for me to be debt free. PowerPay is I pay off that high interest rate one, I take that minimum payment, I now add it to the next one on my list. I pay that off, then I take those minimum payments, I add that. So I'm always paying the same amount towards my debts. And it told me my $46,000 could be gone in 3 years and 5 months by doing that PowerPay. It's really powerful. Now, if I have a negative cash flow, say I've got a car loan, $1,000 balance, minimum payment is $250. And I've got a credit card, $1,000 balance is at 26.99, my minimum payment is 25. Now, if I pay off the credit card at the high interest rate, I'm going to get $25 back in my cash flow. Woohoo! Not going to be able to help me very much. Now, if I pay off the car loan and I get $250 back, that now I can actually start making some progress, I can breathe, I can eat food, I can save, then that's going to be more powerful to do if I pay off that smallest balance with the highest payment, right? Now, there's a whole nother way if I want to improve my credit score. I'm going after the balance that I can pay down below 30% of the limit. So if I've got $1,000 maxed out credit card and a $5,000 maxed out credit card, if I get that $1,000 one down below 300, my score is going to go up 15 to 20 points for every credit card that I get below that 30% limit. So if I'm trying to improve my credit score, so maybe I can do a consolidation or refinance, then I need to look at that balance to limit ratio and attack those credit cards and get it below that 30%. The idea here, one card at a time. Right? So if my minimum payment is 25 on all of them, I don't want to send 50 to every single one. I want to pay 25 to all the other ones I'm not attacking, pay every extra penny I have towards the one that's going to help me achieve what my goal is. Because that way I'm being more effective with that payment. I'm really punching at that one that I want to pay off, and I'm going to see that balance go down a lot faster. So those are the three ways, the three strategies of paying off debt. It's either high interest rate, financially, that's the most effective. If I have a negative cash flow and I need to open up that cash flow, I need to pay off and get some more money back. I'm going to go after the smallest balance with the highest payment. Credit score is that balance to limit ratio. One card at a time. Once that's done, go after the next one on the list. Okay. So here's that last step. It is so hard to stick to this plan when you've got everything bombarding you, right? The kids want to get the new cell phone. They got to get new shoes for volleyball camp. They've got to. So one of the favorite things that helped me, I have a really cool list of questions to help me stick to my plan, because this is where I got this goal that really matters to me, and something comes up and it's going to cost me $200, but I really want to pay this debt off. Like, do I want to do this or do I want to pay off my debt? I've got this choice to make, and it's all about choices. So we can use these questions to stick to my plan, to reach my goal and avoid things that are pulling me away. Do I want this? Do I need this? That's the best question. And this has helped me a lot. Do I want this? Do I need this? I don't really need this, right? But I really want it. I've been looking for this forever. But I really want to reach my goal. If I spend this, I can't reach my goal. Okay, how important is my goal to me? If I created a goal that matters, I'm going to do everything I can to make it happen. So if it's not helping me reach my goal, why am I doing this, right? So one of the things that I found out when I was going through all of the steps in financial fitness, I tracked my expenses and found out I was spending $250 on meals out each month, going to Soup Plantation, getting pizza after soccer practice, getting Jamba Juice after Girl Scouts. And is that helping me reach my goal of paying off my debt or going on vacation? No. So why am I doing it? I mean, yeah, I really like their muffins at Soup Plantation. I got to tell you, them closing down is going to save me a lot of money. But I've had a lot of blueberry muffins in my life, and I really want to be debt free. So I can either pay go get more muffins, or I can pay down my debt. What do I want to do? Right? So I've got these choices. One of my other goals is vacation. I call it my muffins or Maui. That's my choice. Jamba Juice or Jamaica. If I have this debt goal, right, I can either buy this or pay this. What do I want to do? Why am I doing it? What's that psychological, emotional, physical habit? Why am I doing this instead of this? What's the worst thing that's going to happen if I don't do this that's taking me away from this? And is there another way that I can make this a reality? Is there something I could sell? Is there something I could do differently instead of going to a spa day with my girlfriends to celebrate the end of the winter? Maybe we gather all at my house, have a nice dinner, and do our own spa day at home. That's going to save me $200. And that's a debt payment that I can make and help me achieve that goal that I've set. I have to really focus and make that choice. Once I've got a plan in place, I need to make those choices to help me reach that plan. Review your plan often so that you know where you are going. You can control it. You are in control of the money that you spend, right? You get to make those choices. And if you have this plan in place that says, okay, I'm going to spend $250 on groceries and $50 on meals out, and I'm going to take that extra $100 that I was paying towards my meals out, I'm going to put that towards my debt. That's my plan. Be realistic. Things are going to happen. Like if you've got this habit and you're not going to change it, okay? Like I had this couple who wanted to buy a house that way, and so they were trying to save to buy the house and pay off their debt so they could get their credit score up. And they were spending $600 a month on meals out. And so they came and said, okay, we're not going to do anything on meals out next month. I'm like, okay, all right, let's see how this goes. They tracked again and they spent $300 on meals out. Like, okay, next month, no, we're not going to do anything on meals out. And they tracked again and they spent $300 on meals out. So I said, okay, you cut from 600 to 300. That's fantastic. You are going to do 300, 2 months in a row that you've done 300. Be realistic and say, if this is not where you're going to make the changes, accept it and find another way to make that a reality, right? Say no when you need to, so you can say yes to your goal. If this is what you want, and I want to make this happen, I need to say no to that black leather jacket that I've had my on for a year so that I can put that money towards my debt. I have that choice. I have the power. It's so hard to do sometimes, but you do have the power and the choices to make that happen. Be flexible. You know, there are things that happen. So when I had my shoulder surgery a year and a half ago, It's $85 a week out of pocket for a physical therapist to get me back on track, which means I had to decrease my account someplace else. I'm still making payments. I'm still getting everything undone, but that $4,000 a year I have towards my vacation wasn't able to make that happen. So being aware of that bottom line, once I'm increasing this $85 a week, I've got to decrease someplace else to make that bottom number positive. And I'm always keeping my goals in mind. I bring my own personal cash flow up every single day to remind myself, this is what I want to accomplish. And if I do this, if I create this plan and I follow it and I stick to it, I'm living within my income, planning ahead for my expenses. I don't need to worry about how I'm going to pay for a computer if this one breaks down tomorrow. I don't need to worry about how I'm going to pay my rent. I bring up my own personal cash flow. So I have a plan that I created with how much I need to set aside from periodic expenses. So I bring that plan up every day. And I do this every day, like 4 or 5 times with other members every other day. I'm looking at cash flows, and we want to get in that habit of looking at that plan, being aware of what I'm spending, being aware of where my money is going, and being in control. I am telling my money what to do instead of wondering where it goes and having to rely on credit cards to pay for things that I know I have to pay for. Especially if you got a car, you know you're going to have expenses. So we want to plan ahead for that, especially. That's like the number one account that I set up. The second meeting I have with people, let's set up the auto repair savings, start setting money aside so that I am ready for that expense when it's going to happen. Okay, so understand what debt, how much we have, some tools to overcome that debt, living debt free. So what I like to do with that auto repair savings, right? So I have to get tires in 2 years. I'm actually going to use a credit card to pay for it that I get points on. 700 points, swipe that credit card. I'm going to go straight home that same day, transfer $700 from my auto repair savings and pay off that debt so that I am living debt free, but I'm using the credit cards. I am using the credit cards. They are not using me to get that interest out of me. I am using them. They are paying me. Shh, don't tell them that I am not paying any interest. They are paying me. I get about $70 a month because I have 3 credit cards that I get points on that I use for everything, pay it off as soon as I charge it. So I'm living debt free. I don't have that debt any longer. I'm not paying any interest. I can put more money into my retirement, my vacation fund. That's where I want you guys to be. And using all of these tools, each step that you take can help you get there. So we're going to go over some questions, but I'm also going to leave this up here. This is my direct phone number and my direct email address. So Financial Fitness at CalCoast, this is a free service that we offer. I can sit with you and go through these steps with you and help you create that plan, help you set up the accounts, help you see which is going to be the most effective for you in paying off that debt. We don't charge for this. This is a benefit of membership with the credit union. So if you want to take advantage of that, or if you have questions, we're going to email this to you if you have questions about this workshop or questions about the handouts or questions about budgeting your debt or credit. This is what we are here for. It's a free benefit of membership, and I'd be happy. Our appointments still only over the phone. Yes, I actually do everything using GoToMeeting or Zoom. So it's all, all over the phone, all over the computer. It works really well though. And if you want to say hi, there's a camera. We have a camera available too. I don't have it on very often because it gets distracting, especially when you can't look in their eyes anyways, you're looking at the camera. But it's here, it's available if you guys need it, and I'd be happy to help you deal with your own debts.
All right, thank you so much, Taralyn. A ton of great information, and I say this every time, but I always learn something each time I hear you present. Even though I've heard this before, I still learn every time. So a lot of great feedback in the chat. Everyone's saying thank you. Well, thank you for joining us and for being members of CalCoast. There was a question, will this be available for download? Yes, we will have a recording of this presentation on our YouTube channel. So check that the next day or two. We should have that up for you. And right now we have some time for questions. So there was a question Let's see. Let me go back up here. There was a question about an app called Truebill. I don't know if you've heard of it, Taralyn,
Mm-mm.
but there was a question about like, what are your thoughts on apps like that?
I've used a couple of apps. I don't tend to use them myself because, again, what most of them miss is that periodic expense calculator part of it. There is one that I have used before that I like. It's called Envelopes. It starts with Mvelopes. That you can do that envelope. It's an electronic envelope, really. When you talk about the auto savings, and I'm putting $42 every paycheck into that savings, it's an electronic envelope. So that's why I like the idea behind envelopes. And you get to go in and set up those accounts and set up the transfer and do it that way. That's when you go to like places like Mint or I have not found one that I liked except for envelopes that works out well enough with this periodic expense calculator. Like they say, $50 a month is your bill, but it's not really a bill. You're setting money aside and you got the bill 2 years later for tires. So I'm not a big fan of the automated ones because it doesn't take all of those periodic expenses into consideration. How can we get access to the handouts, calculators? Can we send a link to the organizer of this that they can send out to the attendees? Can we send it to the attendees? How can we do that, Josh?
I think because it's a lot of different files, if they can contact you directly, Taralyn,
Okay.
then you can send them kind of each individual what they're looking for. That might be the best way to go. Otherwise, we'll have to send out a lot of files to a lot of people. I don't know if our if our email system will let us do that.
Yeah, I have an email that actually has the PowerPoint and all the handouts we touched on that I'd be happy to forward to you. If you just want to send me a quick email, I'll get into that today and forward that to you.
All right. And I haven't seen any other questions come in. We'll wait like a minute or two to see if anyone else has any other questions.
Did I get done on time?
We did,
I always
yeah.
talk too long.
No, you did perfect. I just want to make mention one more time of all the resources that we have to offer. So if you go to calcocu.org, click on the About Us tab, there's a financial wellness section there. One of the biggest tools that we have right now is our Enrich portal. I mentioned it in the beginning, but for those of you that may not have caught it or weren't here, our Enrich portal is it's a place you can go that's completely free, and it has all kinds of tools and resources on any number of financial related topics. It's a great place to learn about budgeting, credit scores, investing, anything you're interested in learning about. And they're also doing a contest right now. So each month, our partners at Enrich are giving away $1,000. So if you go to the web, yeah, Taralyn's jaw just dropped. So if you go to, that'll help you pay off your debt. If you go to the website and click on the community tab, actually, I think they changed it. I think it says challenge. It's a challenge or contest tab at the top. There's just a couple easy steps. You have to just register for a free, profile on the site, and then you just read an article, watch a video, and then you're entered. So take a look. It's completely free, like I said, and it's pretty cool. You could win $1,000. So, and you'll learn something in the process.
Awesome.
Let's see. Is the video going to be email or only available on the Calcos website? So for today, like if you're looking for a video of today's recording, that will be on our YouTube channel. So I'll put that in the chat one more time. You can go to our YouTube channel. We'll have it posted there with all the other recordings of our webinars. And I did see someone asked for the enriched link. Let me go ahead and pull that up as well. And then I'll put that in the chat box too, so you can navigate to that page.
Yeah, lots of really great information on there. I've really enjoyed all of the videos, all of the articles I've gone through, and we're really excited to share that with you guys.
Yeah, it's a newer tool that we've had. I guess it's not that new anymore. What, a year and a half or so, almost 2 years, something like that. But yeah, you could probably go through that portal for a week and still not see everything they have to offer. It's a lot of great information, and it's all very easy to digest. It's all in video form, or the articles are not too long. They're really short reads, and it's very pertinent info, very timely. And if you do want to spend some more time there, there's courses you can take. You can even take it's called a Your Money Personality Assessment, and it'll actually create kind of personalized curriculum or basically provide content for you based on your needs, depending on how you answer the questions in the money personality assessment. So it'll actually be customized just for you, which is pretty cool.
Scary accurate too. It got me pretty pegged.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I don't think we're getting any other questions right now, but of course, anytime you do have any questions, please contact us. You can contact Taralyn directly. Of course, you can always call, go to a branch, go to our website. There's a lot of different ways. Go on our social media. There's a lot of different ways you can contact us. So please do not ever hesitate. We are here to help you. We want everyone to be financially well, and we're here to help you make your way to being as financially well as you possibly can be. So with that, I just want to thank Taralyn one more time for presenting today.
Thank you,
everyone. Thank you everyone for joining us. Stay healthy out there, and we'll see you next time. We will have our next workshop on November 17th, I believe it is. And I can't recall what the topic is right now. I'll have to look it up, but there will be an email coming out to you as a reminder of that coming up. So mark your calendars. We'll see you again on the 17th. But until then, thanks for joining us, and we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.